Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to HOI4, as we're going to be starting a new series today as the United Kingdom. So in that India finale, I discussed what we would be doing in this campaign, and it is going to be like a return of the monarchy series, where we're going to make everybody in the world who can become a monarchy into a monarchy. So I did ask in that finale what you guys wanted to do next with this King's Party United Kingdom series, and everybody seemed to really be on board with the all monarchy campaign. So let me just show exactly how this is going to look. I've already set it up, so we can just go and load up our preset. As for the major nation buffs, everybody will have one tick, except for ourselves, of course. We won't have any ticks, or they'll have at least one tick. And then the United States is going to have two to make them a bit more powerful than all the other majors. I mean, they're already kind of a bit more powerful than all the majors, but make them even more powerful. And as we discuss how this is going to be set up, you'll see why that is. All this is going to be on the default settings here. And so now let's take a look at the AI behavior. So we got Germany restoring the Kaiser, the Soviets restoring the Tsar, Japan's going that neutral route, which remember, when Japan goes the non-aligned route, that does result in them attacking the Soviet Union, or in the case of this campaign, the Russians. And so that should be really interesting seeing what happens over here in the East, since they typically attack the Russians pretty early. And I know a lot of people were worried about the Russians under the Tsar being fairly weak due to the Civil War, but I think their Western front should be pretty secure for a while, unless Poland or somebody causes some issues, which is a possibility. I'm actually more worried about them struggling against Japan, because the Russians don't typically do very well on the Eastern front here due to the supply issues. So hopefully they do okay over there. Now for the Italians, we don't really have very many choices with them because their tree is so basic right now, so we're just going to have them on the default. With France, there's actually 3 monarchist routes, and I know a lot of people wanted me to go the Bonaparte route and have Napoleon come in, because that would result in the most aggressive France, because they do get a lot of war goals for attacking and conquering neighbors. However, we're going to go with the House of Bourbon, and the reason for this is because they could potentially unite the crowns of Spain and France. So basically Louis XIV's a grand ambition to unite the French and Spanish crowns. So if they manage to pull this off, we could end up having a very powerful country here with France and Spain unified. And so I think that'd be interesting to see. It's going to be difficult because, you know, the Spanish Civil War has to go the right way, and often it doesn't. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, I think it could be very interesting development here in Europe that really will change the balance of power. With the Polish, this one I was kind of on the fence with because they also have several monarchist routes to go, and I decided against doing the Habsburgs because we already have them in Austria-Hungary, as you'll see. So I didn't want them to, you know, struggle over Czechoslovakia here, and so we're not going that route. We could have went the Polish-Lithuania Commonwealth, which I think is the most typical route to go here with the monarchist. Makes most sense, I think. But I decided not to go that route because we have something already happening over here with the Baltic states. We could have also went with this route here, but we're not going to do that either. We're going to go with the House of Hohenzollern, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this will result in them trying to form a union with Romania. Now, I don't know if they annex Romania. I want to say it might be like a personal union where the King of Poland will be the king of both Poland and Romania. I don't know if that'll result in annexation or not. We'll just have to see. But that's the route we're going. I think it would be really interesting to have a powerful alliance here in between the Russians and the Germans and Austria-Hungary. Because I think if you combine Poland and Romania, you have a decent power here, you know, mid-sized power here. While if you combine Poland with Lithuania, I don't really think that increases their power base that much. Now, maybe the focus tree branches are a little bit better, that route. I'm not entirely sure. But this is the way we're going to go. We're going to try this out. With the Commonwealth states, I'm just going to leave them on default because with us going with the King's Party, they will break away and become independent. And you know what? We're not going to tell any of them what to do anymore. I feel like we, the British, have been telling them what to do for far too long. So we're going to let them go their own way. Now, we could do random, but then it's just completely random. And default can result in them going these other routes. It kind of is based off of a series of AI will do modifiers. And so they could go communist or fascist, or they might stay democratic. It's hard to say. We could have forced them down a certain route or whatever, but I think this would be more interesting, just seeing what they end up doing. With the Hungarians, we had them restoring Austria-Hungary, of course. The Romanians are doing the Balkan dominance, and they should, of course, become part of Poland. They should have that alliance there at least. And after that, I would assume they would start conquering Balkan countries. I don't really know what will happen because they'll be a subject, I suppose. So maybe they won't. But maybe they'll get some of them conquered before the alliance with Poland. It's hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see. Yugoslavia, I actually have them going fascist. I think they might be the only country we have going fascist. I just felt like this branch of the tree would be more interesting, and we always have Yugoslavia go communist, almost always. And so I wanted to have them go fascist, and I really want some trouble here in the Balkans. And you'll notice that all the Balkan countries are kind of set up to start attacking each other. You know, we have the Balkan dominance for Romania, and Yugoslavia, we have the fascist route, which does result in them getting like war goals against their neighbors. And so, yeah, hopefully we should have a lot of conflict here in the Balkans, which might spiral into conflict across Europe. Czechoslovakia we have going democratic because if you have them go fascist, then they give up territory to the Germans, which I want them to be annexed by Austria-Hungary. That's the goal here. So I think them going democratic will make that the most likely. So they'll go democratic. Nationalist China, we're doing the alternate route here. In that India finale video, I did have one person concerned that China wouldn't do anything because I wanted them to like fight amongst each other. And they were concerned that China wouldn't do anything if Japan didn't attack them. But the alternate route should force the nationalists to start attacking the warlords. That's what they're supposed to do. And you can see that's what it says here. And I've seen them do it before. So I don't think that'll be a concern. Nationalist China should be attacking the warlords, which typically you don't want them to do because then they're really weak against Japan. They just all get conquered quickly. But since the Japanese are going their non-aligned route, they might not attack China. I don't think they do. And if they do, I don't think it's till later. I think their main focus should be the Russians. Communist China we have on the default setting because the alternate, I think, results in them trying to ally with the rest of the Chinese. We don't want them to do that. But Manchukuo, we have them going the independence route. And that should result in them going, you know, obviously they're going to betray the Japanese, and then they're going to become like Imperial China and try and conquer the rest of China. So the idea here is that we'll have a lot of conflict in China. Between the nationalists fighting all the warlords, and then Manchukuo coming in here and trying to conquer the rest of China after they rebel against the Japanese, which they'll probably need to take Korea first. And that should really help the Russians out, because I'm worried that the Russians are going to do pretty bad against the Japanese, as they usually do, but particularly once they have their civil war and they're all weakened from that. In fact, the Japanese could end up attacking them during their civil war, and that would be disastrous for them. But with Manchukuo going independent, that should really help the Russians out. Because the Japanese might get completely pushed off the mainland. At the very least, they'll have an enemy behind their lines if they are at war with Russia. So I think that'll be an interesting development for the Asian theater here. Obviously, we're on default. The United States is going communist, and that is the reason why we've given them the 2 ticks. So the goal here is that hopefully America will go down their anti-communist branch of their focus tree, and then at the very least they'll have war goals to attack all the monarchies if they so desire. And so I think that could be really interesting, and some people were concerned that this campaign was going to be like communist United States against everybody else, you know, because we were going to have all the Europeans going monarchist, and thus it'd all be in one big faction, and it'd be a really easy campaign or something. That's definitely not what's going to happen. I think we'll have several factions here, and we'll talk more about what might happen with the factions in Europe once we start playing. But yeah, that's not the way it should end up going. United States might end up fighting several of those factions, but those factions will be fighting amongst each other as well. So it's not the communist USA versus everybody else or anything like that. But they should provide a good enemy for us and other Europeans. So I think that could be pretty fun, fighting a powerful communist USA. And again, some people were concerned that with them having the civil war, they'd be really weak. We saw that concern with Russia as well. But remember, just about everybody is having a civil war. You know, the Russians have a civil war, the Germans have a civil war. France doesn't, I don't think. So that would make them even more powerful. We wouldn't have a civil war exactly, but we'll have to reconquer the Commonwealth states. And then I suppose you have, you know, of course you got the United States having a civil war, the Chinese fighting amongst each other. I don't think Japan has a civil war with their non-aligned route, but I might be wrong on that. But yeah, most of the majors are having civil wars. So I don't really think, you know, the fact that Russia and the United States have civil wars will weaken them too much. But the Dutch will have them return to the House of Orange and bring in the Queen. I've never seen the Dutch ever do this successfully, so we'll see if it ends up working out. Mexico is going with the Soviet Republic. With the idea that they're going to be an ally to the United States, that might not work out perfectly though, because once they start attacking countries, The US, if they're still democratic, could very well end up supporting them. Even as a communist, they could end up supporting those countries. And so we could see the United States and Mexico fight, but I'm hoping they don't. I hope they'll ally with each other. So we're having them go with the Soviet Republic. And then Spain, of course, is going with Carlism. Portugal's going their monarchist route. I don't expect that to go well because I've only seen it work once. Usually the Civil War happens too quickly, and then Portugal ends up being fascist instead. But maybe they'll win in this one. We'll just have to see. Greece is going with the Venezuelist, and I'm pretty sure that this is, because of the Magali here, that they want to go with the Magali idea. I believe this is the way that they go with the Byzantine Empire. So I've never seen them do that before, and I'm interested to see how it goes, and if the AI can pull it off. Bulgaria is going with the return of Ferdinand I. The Turks are going with restore the Ottoman Sultanate, so they'll become the Ottoman Empire again, though it does take them so long to do that. So probably won't see that until mid or late game. And they might already be at war by then, because I think this should result in the Greeks attacking them eventually. So they might end up attacking them before they even become the Ottoman Empire, which that'd be interesting if they both did become their respective empires. And then you had the Byzantine Empire fighting the Ottoman Empire in Hearts of Iron 4. So we'll see what happens there. And then with the Baltic states, we have them all going democratic, because what I want them to do here is form that Baltic Entente, so that we'll have the alliance of the 3 Baltic states here. So if anybody wants to fight them, thinking they can conquer a real small power, they'll have to fight all 3 of them. It'll still be fairly easy, but I'm interested to see what will happen there. But the idea here is to have multiple large countries and alliances here in Europe, and we'll see if it ends up working out. We'll be playing on regular difficulty. We've already increased the difficulty through here. I think it's better to give the AI buffs rather than give us a bunch of handicaps that just make everything take longer. So yeah, we're going with the regular difficulty, and I think everything else is set up and ready to go, so let's go and jump into it. Now, I've never played the King's route, or the King's Party route, since it was added in the game. I've not done it on camera or off camera, so I'm pretty interested to see this focus tree and see how it works, because I've never done it before. I've only seen the AI do it. So I think this could be pretty fun. We're going to put all of our units in one training army here and get them training up. Looks like several of our units do already have experience. I've made it so they'll only train if they need the experience due to equipment problems. And we're just going to do the stuff that we usually do. You know, get rid of all of our air wings, because I like to make them myself. Want to keep those ones that are on the carriers, though. We'll fix those later. Let's go and get rid of all those air wings, and then we'll build new air wings and train up after we get the fleet trained up, because I imagine training up the Royal Fleet is going to consume all of our fuel, and we're going to have a whole ton of fuel issues. So we're going to get everybody selected and send them to the same port where we're going to train them all up. But yeah, I do assume that the fleet is going to consume all of our fuel for some time, and until, at the very least, until we get the capital ships trained up here. And so we'll have to wait to train up the planes, because I think oil is going to be a major issue for us. All right, so with that taken care of, let's go and get our techs selected. And we're going to go ahead and get the typical stuff, get mechanical computing. I like that the British already start with the radio and the radio detection. That's really nice. So we're going to get the mechanical computing for that research speed. We will get the basic machine tools, the construction 1. We might want to do something about fuel early on here, but we're going to wait to get those. Let's first go ahead and start getting some of these naval techs, because we want to get these as early as possible. This is going to very much be a naval focused campaign. We could potentially have to fight several naval powers. At the very least, we'll have to fight the United States, which has a navy that's comparable to ours, so it should be a good fight here. So we know we have to fight the United States. We don't know what's going to happen in Europe, who we're going to be fighting yet. I couldn't tell you who our allies will be. That's one of the interesting things about this campaign, is it could go several different ways. So we might end up fighting several European countries that also have fleets. Obviously, none of them are comparable to our fleet, but if a few of them ally together, then they might be. And then we might end up fighting the Japanese too. That's a possibility. I'm not entirely sure what will happen over here in Asia. So if we do fight them, then that's another naval power. So there'll definitely be a focus on naval conflicts. And since the fleets do take so long to build, you want to go ahead and get all the equipment for them as soon as possible. So let's go and start with the sonar. We'll probably have one of those tech slots invested in ships. Maybe not for the entire game, but for a good chunk of the game, I think. As long as there's stuff for us to research that we need. Go ahead and build some civilian factories. And we'll just build in the 80% locations or anything higher. Looks like their infrastructure is pretty high throughout the British Isles. So, yeah, we can really build anywhere. So this will get like 5 for right now. Let's build 5 of them here. And then we need to get these military factories assigned and really take a look and see what everybody's currently doing here. We're not going to build the interwar bombers. We won't do that, or the interwar fighters. None of those old planes. I don't want to spend our limited military factories on really old planes. So we've already got these in here. What else do we need to get that's not set up? Do we have support equipment? Yeah, we have support equipment. Let's go move that. We got some tanks going. These are actually decent tanks. For a starting tank model. That's not too bad, so I'm not really going to race to make an adjustment to them. We'll actually take a look at those here in a minute. We won't get trains going just yet, if we will even need to. We have 234 in the stockpile. We might do trains eventually, but yeah, it's not going to be a priority because we start out with a pretty decent number, so we won't do that. We will want to get trucks going, though. Not entirely sure how many we currently have. We have none, so yeah, we'll probably want to get some trucks going. So let's go and get those started. Throw them up here at the top. And is there anything else that we want in there? Anti-air. We should probably get anti-air building as well. I mean, it's kind of a bit early for the anti-air, I suppose, but it's fine. Otherwise, y'all know, I will forget. I don't think we have the anti-tanks yet. Alright, so we're going to really pump into support equipment, infantry equipment. And that's probably it for now. Really focus on these elements here. The early equipment that we're going to need. Probably more artillery too. And then the next factory we get will go into the support equipment. So now we need to pick our focus. So this is the British focus tree, which we've played with once before when we went, I think we went the fascist route. Yeah, we've done them once before with this focus tree. We've also done Democratic United Kingdom, but that was before the new focus tree. So yeah, we've only played with it once so far. We went with the Organize the Black Shirts, and this time we'll be doing a change in course again, but with the King's Party. We'll be not doing any of those, obviously, since that's the Democratic route. And then we have 2 choices here, reinforce the Empire or revisit the colonial policy. We'll be doing restore the Empire, makes the most sense for us. And so we'll be going down that. And then with the limited rearmament, we definitely want to get that as soon as we can to get the research slot, which we do have to have world tension at 5%. So that shouldn't take too long, hopefully. But yeah, we will need that so that we can get the 5th research slot unlocked. So we'll do the other one first because it's a 35-day focus. Yeah, we'll do that one first. It gives you a nice bonus for a year. So that'll be helpful to have. And we have some decisions available that we're not going to do. So let's go ahead and just say we don't need to be notified of those. All right, excellent. So I want to say that's it. And I think we're ready to let it play, right? I don't think I forgot anything. So yeah, let's go and put it on speed 5. We'll be able to play at a nice fast speed here for time. Now, supply is going to be, a massive issue down here due to the fact that we have all the ships in the same location. That's okay. So we want to go ahead and merge all these guys. And then we'll merge all the other ships once they get there as well. And we'll wait to train them until we get everybody else. It's not a rush here. So we'll let all the ships get here. We might need to trade for some fuel. Yeah, we'll probably have to trade for some oil. I think that's a real possibility. We do have another decision available here. Demand reduce Dutch trade with Germany. So I don't know how much we'll participate with this. We might do it. Because we can get, if we win it, we can get our political power back. But I don't remember what happens with them going that monarchy route. I don't recall what would happen here. Yeah, we might interact with it. But we will not do the demand reduce Dutch trade with Germany. Is that because that's not the one that increases it, is it? Maybe it is. I'm not sure. But yeah, we might do it. King George V dies, unfortunately, thus our stability has decreased. And now Edward VIII has become king, which, results in a negative 0.10% to stability. Let's go and get these fleet selected and merge them. We only have this one guy that we're still waiting for, this one fleet. Oh, the ships. I never looked at the ships. my bad, guys. We need to take a look at the ship situation. Because some of these, I imagine, we're not going to want to keep building. The Ark Royal class here, we'll take a look at that because it's just started. And let me see if I want to keep that going. We'll see how it looks. Many of these are almost finished. So I suppose you might as well let them go. Maybe not these cruisers because they take a long time. So if they're not close to being done, then we're going to go and cancel them. I kind of feel like that one's close enough. Yeah, I suppose that one's close enough. Let me take a look at this Ark Royal class here and see if we want to keep that going. See how they look. They're decent. Yeah, they're not too bad at all. You could upgrade the anti-air, but yeah, other than that, it's not too shabby. And you have them build in a little bit here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll let them finish. I don't know how much production that represents. Yeah, we'll go ahead and make sure that we got all 5 dockyards going to that, so we can get it done on the 12th of August, 1937. That's not bad. But yeah, everything else I think we'll leave here. Maybe get rid of this one. Yeah, we'll get rid of that one. These early submarines obviously suck, but you know, they're pretty close to being done. All right, so that looks good. We might want to go ahead and just throw dockyards into these so they'll just go straight to them. And we want to make sure they're also only building 1 of each of these. We don't need any more than that because we'll be designing our own ships, of course. All right, fantastic. So we got those going. Might want to go ahead and also make sure that we're giving 10 dockyards to train with. And we'll make some adjustments here with them as well. Let's go and add these guys in there, and we are ready to start training. Now, I typically have them do the automatic split off, so that as they train, they take damage, then they'll split off and go repair. However, I've been noticing in this patch that is not working properly. So before, they would go to one of the closest ports. They didn't really, prefer the larger ports as they should, but they went to one of the closer ports to go repair. I've noticed in multiple campaigns now that they're not doing that anymore. They'll go like halfway around the world to go repair. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Like I've seen them like go literally to the other side of the world. Like your ships will come, if you're in the British here, your ships will go all the way over here to repair. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they're doing that. It's clearly not working properly unless they fixed it in a latest patch, which I can't say for sure. But I don't want our ships going all the way to Asia to go repair. That doesn't make any sense. So instead, we're just going to have to, unfortunately, have the whole fleet repair, and thus we'll change the repair priority to like medium, so they're not spending as much time repairing. So let's go ahead and do the naval exercises just until they're done. And, or you know what, we'll keep them training no matter what, and we'll just pull them out as they're done. That's the way we'll do it. Now, we'll run out of fuel very, very quickly here. So we will have to trade for some oil. And we will trade with, I don't really know who exactly to trade with, considering the fact that anybody is a potential enemy. I guess we don't really have that many choices. It's really just the United States, isn't it? Okay, so we'll trade with the United States. Although we could get 14 from them, since they're one of our subjects, and we could even get in more for that as well. That will increase their autonomy. That's fine. I'm not too worried about. That is not enough fuel, by the way, so we will have to trade for a bit more. I mean, we're only doing 1 factory there, so that's not that bad. So let's go and give them 2 more. And that might not be enough either. When you have the entire fleet out there training, you know it's going to be an issue. We did get the change in course, so that's going to result in us getting more political power and more war support, while watching the daily democracy support decline for 1 year. We can't do the King's Party yet until Edward marries Simpson. And so, I think we're going to go ahead and do the limited rearmament. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out, guys. That'll give us 4 civilian factories. Super helpful. Because I'm trying to get enough for 2 lines, to build 2 lines at a time. We will not be doing any of these decisions just yet. Those will have to wait. We do want to keep our eye on the fleet, so that as soon as these big ships are done training, that we put them into another fleet, because we do not need these guys training any more than they have to, because they just take up so much fuel. So let's go take all of the ones that are currently trained. That did not take very long, luckily, because this is eating our fuel up right now. Alright, so I think I got them all. And we will train up the smaller ships, like keep them training for the naval experience, but let's get all these capital ships done first, just because they eat so much fuel up. So once we get them all done, we'll change up how we're doing that. But yeah, fuel is very, very short. We have no fuel. So that's the reason why I'm not training the planes right now, because I knew this would be an issue as long as we had that entire fleet out there. The goal is, as usual in our first episode, to make it through at least a year. So I want to get to 1937 if we can. Being a major power often is difficult because there's so much stuff happening, especially in the newest editions of the game, because they just keep adding all these features for us to take care of. So Germany has started their civil war. We saw these events recently as the Soviet Union. Turks are trying to, remilitarize the Straits, I guess you would say it. Yeah, that's how they describe it. Remilitarize the Turkish Straits. And the Soviet Union is not going to be happy about that, of course. But we are going to back the Turks on that. That's going to grant us 5 Navy experience. And we shall be supporting Turkey on the basis that they should have the power to regulate passage through the Turkish Straits. We will have the opportunity to rescind our support should war between Turkey and the Soviet Union suddenly seem likely, which I don't think will happen. So yeah, we're going to back the Turks on this matter. Get us some more naval experience. And just make sure these guys, there's nobody, at least no large ships that need to be pulled out. We'll pull out these destroyers again for just right now. I know that they don't really use a whole lot of fuel. But as you can see, fuel is a serious issue. Yeah, it's pretty low. Now, I believe that does impact training. If you have them out there and they're not really, they don't actually have the fuel to train, then I think it does impact their training. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything we can do about it. They just suck up so much of it. We did get that active sonar. Excellent. I think we'll go after the depth charge thrower next. And I think we will use the experience for these just to get them done sooner. I know there's so much stuff for us to get with the experience, but I feel like it'd be worth doing here. It's just to get through the tech tree a little bit faster. So we do have several things we need to take care of here. Look at all these decisions that have popped up, because we do have a bit of political power now. We're not going to do any of these right now, although I am very tempted to do these ones for the research speed. I want to say we found out in an earlier campaign that we don't lose these. So I think we will go ahead and do them. And it's 100 political power, but yeah, it's 5% stability. Now, obviously, stability is important. Impacts quite a few things. But yeah, I think research speed is just so awesome that it's worth spending 200 political power to get a 10% bonus. So yeah, we will go ahead and do these ones. But we don't need to be notified of banning any of these or instituting press censorship. Okay. And then I think this is about the Naval Conference, which is set to happen in 25 days. We will, unfortunately, still be limited by that, because there's not much we can do about it just yet. And let's go and get these dockyards assigned. We're almost done with the ships that we started out with here building, and then we'll design some of our own ships. Oops. Alright, place them in there, get them trained up, and still training all these really large ships, unfortunately. I think the whole training is slowed down due to the fuel shortages. Japanese Young Officer Corps, of course, they're going that non-aligned route. We got our limited rearmament, so that's 4 civilian factories we just got. And it looks like world tension is high enough to go ahead and get the shadow scheme, so we're going to go ahead and move right down to it. Because remember, we can't get this yet, the King's Party. So yeah, let's just go ahead and continue moving towards that research slot. Try and get it as early as we can. This one here is not really going to help us much. I think grants 4 building slots and 4 military factories, and a total of 2 states when entering a war. So it only helps you once you enter the war. And of course, the wartime industry is not going to help us right now either. But we do have to get it. We want to get that research slot, which I do want to get. So yeah, we'll look down here and just see if there's anybody done training. Again, though, I'm pretty sure the fuel is what's causing this to be so much slower now. The fuel shortages. I feel like we're already trading enough, though. I don't really want to trade for any more. Second London Naval Treaty has been signed. But yeah, they'll eventually get it done. Just takes time. Yeah, you can see that it's still going up. Italy has finished up their war in Ethiopia. All standard stuff here so far. We have no army experience yet. We can do that one decision, so let's go ahead and do it. To give refuge to the German scientists. I'll check down stability by 5% again, all giving us another 5% research bonus. And that helped us get that basic machine tools knocked out. So let's go ahead and go with the fuel refining, because we know that fuel is going to be an issue here with us trying to have a large air force and a large fleet out there in the war. Fuel is going to be an issue. We can pull all these ships out now, though, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's get all these larger ships. We will not be training like light cruisers past their, experience level here. It might be everybody done now. Yeah, good God. Yeah, it looks like we got everybody done. So I think we should be able to start putting the destroyers out there alone to train. Just got that one light cruiser. We'll see how the fuel looks once they get out of the training fleet and get out of the water. Yeah, we're actually pretty good now. We're actually going up, I should say. So yeah, what we could do is go ahead and just set up destroyers to train now, and only train destroyers and submarines, of course, as well. Though you'd probably want to split them off. Let's go ahead and get this tech slot doing something. We got the depth charge thrower, and I suppose we'll go to the airplane catapult next. We could also do the submarines, because we still have the early submarine hull. That would probably be wise to go ahead and knock out the next submarine tech. There's so much stuff we need to get. The submarine tech, we need the torpedo launcher. Yeah, so we need those, and we need the catapults. We'll go ahead and do the submarines next, since we're getting some of our dockyards back here as we finish up. And you know what, let's go ahead and separate these into two separate fleets, considering the fact that we do have them not set on the automatic split off. So I think it'd be wise. So yeah, let's just go ahead and separate all the submarines here. And we'll give them an icon to indicate who they are. And we'll just give them this torpedo looking thing. So they'll continue to train out there, just in separate fleets. And we'll train both of those. And let's go and take all those destroyers out, and then put them into that training fleet here. We will not train the light cruisers just because they take a good chunk of fuel as well. So yeah, we might need to trade from war, because at this point we have no capital ships training. We'll pull that light cruiser out. But yeah, that's it. That's all we can pull out there. Edward VIII abdication crisis. So for some time, King Edward VIII has entertained hopes to marry the American Wallis Simpson. A constitutional crisis has now arisen, as Miss Simpson is not only divorced from her previous husband, but in point and fact still married to her current husband, presently pursuing a second divorce. General outrage has ensued on the grounds that as king, being the head of the Church of England, Edward cannot marry a divorcee. The king, however, has made it abundantly clear that he's very much in love with Miss Simpson and intends to marry her regardless of the opinions of his government or his subjects. As such, only three options remain open to him. The British government and the government of the Dominions have already stated that any alternative to abdication would be unacceptable, and repercussions of trying to force through a marriage, even an attempted compromise, will likely be dire, not only for Britain itself, but also for ties to the Commonwealth. As the king's closest advisors continue their attempts to convince him, the public awaits with bated breath the resolution of this conflict between the king and his cabinet. So we can say, if he will not change his mind, the king must abdicate. Obviously, we're not doing that because we're doing the king's party here. We can instead do a compromise here, lose stability, get some non-aligned support, begin preparations of the marriage, and then it activates the mission Edward VIII abdication crisis. Or you could just say insist on a royal marriage, in which case we will lose stability, a lot more stability, while getting a lot more support for non-aligned, lose some political power, and all the other results happen here. Now I don't know if you can do the compromise and still do the king's party. I'm not sure the difference here, because all it says is that Edward VIII has married Wallis Simpson. So I believe you could do either way. I don't think it matters. But we're going to be stubborn here and insist on a royal marriage. I don't know if this... Either way, I think the Dominions, if you have any marriage, I think you lose the Dominions. So I don't think it truly matters. It might. It might have other results out there that I don't know about. But we're going the king's party route. So the king does what he wants. And the king wants to marry Simpson, so he's going to. And it's going to be a royal marriage, and everybody will be happy, and it'll be very expensive, I'm sure. So we're going to insist on the royal marriage. Losing a lot of stability, and thus we can expect the Dominions will leave us soon. Probably get some events popping up about that. And let's Let's go and get these dockyards. Finishing up the cruisers that we're working on. Now, I might want to take a look at this here now, see how we want to do it. Yeah, we got 30 and 30. We're not going to do that. We'll do maybe actually 20 and 40 here. Yeah, we'll do that. We're not actually building any of those planes yet. I don't think we're building much of any planes, are we? Nope. So we might want to put some factories into that, into anything that's recent enough to warrant building. So none of the really old planes. So we'll get the close air support. Oops, we want to build planes. We'll get the naval bombers. It doesn't matter that we didn't have these building yet because we're not even going to put any factories towards them right now. And we'll get those carrier naval bombers. We'll not do interwar carrier fighters. All right, excellent. So we need 3 factories for those. That's okay. And we have the next factory going into the support equipment. I'm not sure how we're doing on equipment. Still very short on the infantry equipment. The British do start pretty short. Do have a bit of manpower that we could build with, but we will not be using that right now. We did finish up that shadow scheme. Excellent. So let's go and go after the industrial effort next. Get those research bonuses. Although I think we can now do the King's Party. Good God, I cannot drag this. I think we can do the King's Party. Maybe not. They're not married yet. Okay, so we gotta wait. Again, I've never done this focus tree here. The Kingdom of Poland crowns a king. All right, so everybody's going down those focus trees. So, are they allied with Romania yet, or has that not happened? Yeah, that hasn't happened just yet. So will they create a faction together? I'm not entirely sure what happens. So we did get that construction 1. Excellent. Let's go and go after the excavation next. We'll have to get that because resources are going to be an issue throughout the campaign, and I don't want to change up the trade laws because I do really like the bonuses that we have with the export focus. Particularly the research speed, but also construction speed, factory and dockyard output. Those are all great as well. The upper classes oppose the marriage. Notable individuals among the aristocracy have, in none too gentle terms, made clear their disgust with the prospect of the king marrying someone who they deem a common tart. The disdain he appears to be treating tradition and ceremony with appears to have offended a great many of his most powerful individuals in the nation. So we can say that they're just jealous he found love. Or we can say, perhaps the people are right, the king should abdicate. Yeah, we'll be doing this one. And so this is going to continue to reduce our political power, our stability. Interesting that we had the change in non-aligned support, though. I'm not entirely sure what would have happened if we'd done the compromise. It's interesting to think. But, you know, if you haven't done that route anyways, it's interesting to think about. But I felt like this was the right route for us to go. Got the Civil War breaking out over here in Spain. Obviously, we are not really able to support this right now. World tension would need to be at 50%, and we're not even allowed to send volunteers anyways. So I don't know if we'll get involved in any of the civil wars. We'll have to see. I think it's probably unlikely. I mean, maybe a bit later. It's hard to say exactly. We did finish up another one of those cruisers. Okay, well, let's just try and get... Oh, these are building a ton. My bad, I didn't see that. Alright, that's unfortunate. I didn't want to build a bunch of those. I don't know how that happened. But they're almost done here. So let's get them finished, and then we'll build our own designs. And just want to make sure these guys... I could set them up to go straight into that training fleet, I suppose, but I did not do that. So we'll get that cruiser trained up. The working class supports the marriage. Support for the king appears to be growing among the lower classes of the people. They not only see anything wrong with the king marrying a commoner, but even seem to adore the fairy tale-esque story of a common-born woman winning the heart of the king and marrying into royalty. So this will result in us getting more non-aligned support and some more stability. Our excellence in non-aligned support is now at 12%. We do have a bit of political power to spend, unless a decision has popped up here or promises for peace. We won't be doing that. Support forms for Edward VIII. In the midst of the tremendous outrage caused by the king's decision, there are some voices rising up in support of King Edward. Though isolated from the main political parties, their names nonetheless carry weight. Winston Churchill, Oswald Mosley, and David Lloyd George. Though tentatively at first, this grouping of unlikely political allies are beginning to find traction among the people, and following their lead, more and more dare to publicly support Edward in his decision. Thus strengthened in his resolve, the king has made it clear that he has no intention of changing his mind in this matter, and the marriage shall go on as planned. Alright, so this is going to result in us getting 10% non-aligned support, a bunch of political power back. I think that should restore all the political power that we lost, and we get a modifier support for the king for 150 days, which will increase our stability and daily support for non-aligned, and we continue those preparations for the marriage. Alright, excellent. So let me see what decisions are available here. A region-wide industrial integration, which we won't be doing. As far as the Dutch one, it looks like you can't do this one anyway, because it requires that Germany have a fascist government, so that's not even possible to do the Dutch stuff anymore. But what we want to do is go ahead and knock out something over here, and I think we should probably start with the silent workhorse to get the political power going up faster, so we can fill out the rest of these quicker. Obviously being on civilian economy is pretty negative as well, so could switch over to early mobilization, which would be quite helpful, but I really think getting more political power is what we need to do. And also I want to get some of these research bonuses as soon as we can. So yeah, let's go and get the silent workhorse first, so get more political power, because we're already losing some of that because of our lower stability. Are we done with these? Just about. This will be done on the 21st of August. We got the mechanical computing. Alright, so we're done here for now. Not close enough to 1937 for any of those yet. And I don't want to get the fighter until we have their research bonus. So yeah, I don't want to do that yet, because I don't know how long it's going to take to get that. I don't really need the passive bonuses just yet. Oh man, I completely forgot to get concentrated industry. My bad, guys. So we need to go and get that. Let's knock that out. That should have already been done. I thought we already had it. Oh, we still have dockyards left. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and design a ship then. So we already have a carrier building. Battleships probably won't be able to build any until we get out of that naval treaty. It's just going to be too expensive to build something decent. Same thing with really just any capital ships, I think. So we're probably going to want to do light cruisers and destroyers and submarines, which the submarines we have to wait till we get the next tech, which we're currently researching. So we should do light cruisers and destroyers, which we'll probably just design our own model here. Though maybe not take that one. We'll take one that's already kind of partially done. I guess looking at these two here, it does seem the town class might be a little bit further done. So that's one we're going to want to take. And with my light cruisers, destroyers, basically all the screen ships, the submarines, the smaller ships, we name the class just based on what they're going to be doing. While with the larger capital ships, we will give them, specific names, not for each ship, but for the ship class. And thus you guys will be able to provide suggestions on those names. So for carriers, battleships, I don't know if we'll do battle cruisers or heavy cruisers, but those would also need names. So feel free to post names in the comments below. We'll also be naming our units, which we need to take a look at those, and we haven't done yet because we don't have any army experience. But yeah, let's go ahead and get these guys filled out. I think they have the best guns currently. This is supposed to be a light cruiser, so I should have been looking over here. But yeah, they currently have the best guns. We got the anti-air in there. We probably don't really need a fire control system here, guys. We don't have the radar yet. This is going to be an attack cruiser. I wanted to start with that. And I don't know if that's going to be worth it, guys. And we won't want them to have sonar. So you got to have something here, don't you? We don't want to take their reliability down at all, I don't think. Or really increase the production. So we'll probably just keep the fire control 0. Is that what's in there? Yeah, it looks like that's what was in there. We don't have radar yet, so can't add that. So with the secondaries, want to make sure we have the secondary battery too. We got the armor in there already. So the goal with the attack cruiser is to have a very high light attack. Their job will be to sink enemy screen ships, so enemy destroyers and other light cruisers. And that's all the top here, with the exception of the torpedoes, which we're just giving them because it'll be helpful to have some torpedoes here for if they do end up having to fight any capital ships, they'll at least be able to attack those. Because otherwise they don't really have any ability to fight capital ships. And so we'll give them a little bit of a torpedo attack. But the main point here is to get as high of the light attack as possible. Could have went with a bit more anti-air, but I decided against it. So yeah, we're just going to use the high light attack here. This looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything else I'm missing here, although we might want to take a look and see how much of an impact this would make. It gives you one more attack. It does reduce reliability by a bit though, and also increases production, so I really don't think it's worth it. So yeah, I think this is good to go. Let's go and save that. They don't have the ability to attack submarines, so we didn't need to give them any sonar. So yeah, let's go and get these building. And we're going to want them to probably just keep on building. Put them over here in Portsmouth, and just put a few dockyards into them, because we are going to do one more model here, guys. And I suppose we'll just take this one here and then make an adjustment to him. And we want to save as new. And this is going to be the support cruiser. Again, if you've watched my campaigns, pretty standard stuff here, guys. Nothing special. Similar to what I typically design. So we're going to do the sonar here. Everything else is good to go. We're just going to make adjustments here at the top. Maybe change up that icon as well. These guys are going to be focusing on attacking submarines and providing anti-air support. So let's do... I suppose we can do the plane. Either would work, the plane or like what I typically do for my submarine, task force, the crab. So yeah, we want to give them anti-air up here. Yeah, I think it'll make more sense to have the plane here, because I think that's what we're really much going to have here is a lot of anti-air, because there's only so much the cruisers can do when it comes to the depth charges. And we have the two there, but that might be the only location where you can put depth charges on this model. Yeah, it looks like it. I'm not seeing any other ones. So in that case, because we don't have the better secondary battery, we'll probably just want to have a bunch of anti-air here. So have a good anti-air attack. We could do one secondary battery, I suppose. So they have a little bit of a light attack to kind of defend themselves. That's really not the focus here. So you know what? Let's just do anti-air, guys. This will be their focus. This will result in them losing a bit of light attack. So that's a pretty good anti-air for this model. That's not bad at all. That's a very good attack. So the way I name these is the 2 is because it's the second model, the 1936 model, and the A is because it's the first variant, if you're wondering how I was naming that. This costs a lot more experience than I was anticipating. So yeah, it's going to have very high anti-air attack, and that's going to be their job, is to protect the fleet. And so I want to give them a few dockyards here once this finishes up. And we'll wait to build anything else until we finish that in not very long. At less than 2 weeks at this point. So of course we're still building that. We might want to clean up this a little bit while we're looking at it here. Just say we can just decommission all this here. We've already finished that up. All right, excellent. So let's go and get something else building. We could do another cruiser. Again, as I said, we could do a torpedo cruiser, but we don't have a ton of dockyards. I mean, the British have a lot here at start. But yeah, we really need to get destroyers and submarines going. So let's go ahead and start with the 1936 destroyer model here. And they're probably going to be anti-submarine destroyers is what I'm thinking. And rather than having a torpedo cruiser, it's probably better to just have a torpedo destroyer, just because they're cheaper to build. And, if they get lucky with a torpedo, they're really, really cheap. So, if they get sunk by the capital ships, it's not really much of a loss. They hit the capital ship with a couple of those torpedoes, they can do severe damage. Really worth it, I feel. But yeah, these guys are going to be the crabs. As I look at it, it's like they're like the crabs down on the surface of the ocean, reaching up, grabbing little submarines with their little pinchers. That's how I imagine it anyway. So let's go and get all these goodies installed, which we'll want to take this sonar out from here since we don't have the radar yet. Put the sonar over here. We got those torpedoes, excellent. Engine's good to go, and because this is anti-submarine, let's get them the depth charges, and let's go ahead and name. We'll name them something simple, most likely. Just sub-hunters, I suppose. Again, I like naming them based on their role, because it's just easy to look at them. I know you have the icon, but it's just really easy to look at the name and be like, oh, that's what they do. That's their job. Just enough experience to do this. Excellent. So I don't think there's anything else that needs to be done here. So let's save that and get them building. Maybe throw a few more of these dockyards down here. And yeah, get a fourth one into that, I suppose. Could do the torpedo destroyers, but we don't have any experience to do that right now, so just work on what we've already got going. We might want to make sure these ships here are training up. Those are the cruisers, so we want to pull those out as soon as they're done training. Newspapers oppose the marriage. A recent article in the Times has cited the king's responsibilities to his country and his people, stating that his status and privileges come with the burden of duty, and so he must sacrifice either his marriage or his crown. It's interesting that they give you so many events where you can abdicate if you so desire. It's like, you sure you want to do this? Yes, I'm sure. Have we lost all the countries yet? No, it looks like they're all still dominions. They haven't left yet. I think the marriage has to happen first. I think once the marriage happens, then they'll abandon us. We got that industrial effort. Awesome. Those are some research bonuses, and that allows us to get that 5th research slot. Super important to get that research slot as soon as possible when you're playing as a major country that wants to focus on all 3 branches of the military, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. You need all of those research slots to get that done effectively. We could probably pull back on the trading of the oil, but we should probably just go ahead and put planes out there and use it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go and get some planes going and get those training. Yeah, nothing really impressive here. We could train the fighters when we get the newer fighters. You know, they'll keep their experience when they update, so it's fine if we're just training cruddy fighters here. And so we'll get, I guess, 3 air wings is what we can do here. So we're going to duplicate this 2 times. And we'll train those up. Then we'll also train... We'll train them for the experience. I don't know if we'll use them. I mean, I suppose you might as well use them. But yeah, I don't know when we'll be able to research those just yet. I will wait on... Well, no. We'll just go like this. And then we'll train them too. Oops. We only want them to train... For right now, anyway. We only want them to train to get experience. And let's go ahead and put these closed air support out here as well. Alright, excellent. So I don't think we're building any of those planes yet. So we'll need to keep some of the stockpiles for replacements, since we don't have these training just yet. As we're focusing on the land equipment. Edward VIII holds a radio speech. King Edward has at last managed to persuade the government to allow him to make a radio speech, illustrating what he refers to as his side of the story. He has expressed hopes that this will allow the people to better understand why he feels he must act as he does. Alright, so we can say it turns out his side of the story was pretty convincing. And this will give us quite a few bonuses. Nice. Increasing our stability up to 50% now. Alright, so that's helpful. And very close to getting enough political power to make an adjustment. But the cabinet has resigned. As the king has shown no intention to listen to his government, Stanley Baldwin has seen no other solution but to dissolve it. In a statement, he says, "It is evident that the cabinet cannot function without the trust of its monarch." In repeatedly discarding the unanimous advice of his ministers, it has been made clear that his advice is neither desired nor observed. And so later tonight, I will meet with His Majesty to offer the resignation of the cabinet. Clearly intended as a final protest against the king's decision, it is uncertain whether it will be successful. It won't. It is also unknown who the king will announce as Stanley Baldwin's successor, or when. So we can say good riddance. They shall not stop the king. And yeah, that's a lot of penalties. So we're going to lose a lot of stability, a lot of political power. It's just like they just keep taking it and giving it back to you. And then we get the fallen government. So that's the leader. And so it's a cabinet crisis. We're going to not get very much political power for a time. And stability will further decrease. Okay. Well, all these will be fixed eventually. I was excited because I thought we were going to get to buy something with our political power. But no, we will not. We'll have to wait to get back up to 150. Which is very unfortunate because there's all these things that we need to get here. So much stuff we have to do. And, it's just part of going this king's route. You're short on political power. So we did get that submarine. Excellent. So the next thing to get would probably be... I know we need the torpedoes. Also need the airplane catapults. But let's go for the torpedoes first. 123 days to knock that out. And we can now design our submarine model here. Did I make these all decommissioned? We did not. So let's decommission all of these old ones. and get our 1936 model and design them. It shouldn't take very long. Not much to do here with them. And they'll do the historical submarines. They can keep that, I suppose. And then we're going to want to name these something very simple again, just attack subs. I know, it's a bit boring, guys. Always using the same name. But it makes it easier to play when you can just look at things and know exactly what's going on there. So yeah, we want these to all deploy here in Portsmouth. And go ahead and put some dockyards into them, though we'd have to pull some of these back here. There we go. That'll work. So we'll have 2 of our dockyards going into the attack subs. Make sure we're not short on any resources. No, we're not. I guess we'd have a notification about that if we were. With the planes out there training, we are not building the fuel reserves up anymore, but that's okay. Otto assumes the Hungarian crown, so we'll soon see them unite with the Austrians. And it does look like the war is going well here in Germany. Newspaper now opposes the marriage. Okay, so they changed. No, I think they always opposed it. Never mind. Royal wedding in Brazil. Of course, that's with the Portuguese going that route. But again, I anticipate that that will not work out for them because it never does. Again, I saw it happen one time, and that wasn't even on a Let's Play. Now, I was talking about what was going to happen in Europe. I said we'd mention this in the video, and the video is almost over, and I still haven't talked about it. But really, there's not a whole lot to talk about because I don't know how's this going to go. That's what I think is going to be really interesting with this campaign, is it can go a lot of different ways. We could end up having a ton of different factions here. It's a possibility. You could have, what sometimes happens with the working classes supporting us, awesome. But with the Germans creating the Central Powers and then allying with Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and then usually Italy as well, despite them not being in the historical Central Powers, they and there's the Dominions breaking away. The Germans do have that focus to put the monarchy in place here, get rid of Mussolini and put a monarchy in place, and then they typically join the Central Powers. So you could have that situation happen, and then you just have all the Central Powers up here. Could go completely different. I don't know. When you have Poland and Romania allied, you got the Tsar over here, France and Spain might be one country. Then you got us, communist over here. Who knows? Who knows what will happen, guys? That's what I'm most interested about doing this, because it can go a lot of different ways. Because in these focuses, these monarchy focuses, some of them get quite a few war goals against other countries. They can attack, any number of countries, and so it's hard to say exactly how the alliances will end up going. But I'm certainly interested in seeing. The Dominions break with the Crown. As one, representatives of the Dominion governments have informed us that they will unilaterally be breaking ties with the Crown. They cite the King's flagrant disregard for the opinions and wishes of the Dominion governments and their peoples as the primary reason for why the British Commonwealth relationship can no longer continue. As one Commonwealth official stated in a heated interview, a king who is incapable of putting duchy or duty above his personal feelings cannot be trusted to act in the best interest of his subjects. Based on recent events, we can determine the king does not care at all for domestic public opinion. And if this is the nature of his relationship with the British people, of all things, then the situation can only become worse for his subjects in the Commonwealth. To safeguard the interest of our peoples, we therefore see no alternative but to remove the king as our head of state. No doubt they hope that our present political paralysis will prevent us from acting on this abrupt move. Well, it will. For a time. For a time. So a lot of penalties here, guys. Obviously, we lose the Commonwealth research bonuses, which we weren't getting just yet anyway. Anyways, this will also result in us no longer being in the Allies faction. It destroys the faction, dismantles it, and we'll lose stability and political power. So we're very much in the negative now. But yeah, Canada's a free country now. And they're all in that Commonwealth of Nations faction. We did get that extra research slot. Excellent. Still can't do the King's Party since we're not married yet. And there's nothing here that we need just yet. I don't feel like we need those yet. Can't do this one until we have either at war or it's got to be somebody that we're at war with that has more than 30 factories. All right, so several different requirements, but can't do it yet is what's important. So there's really only one choice, and that's the choice here, and we already know we're going to be reinforcing the empire. So let's go ahead and get that started. That's going to get us 10% stability, which we desperately need. We're at 16% right now, so pretty darn low. With those new civilian factories, we got all the ones we were building done, And with this will put us at 40 total factories. Let's go and start working on a few military factories here, guys, and maybe one more dockyard too. We'd always use more dockyards. So yeah, let's go and get more military factories. Do we have any other 100%? I don't think so. I think this is just London is 100% here. So yeah, we'll get some military factories going. How many do we want to do? Maybe 3 and then a dockyard. And then 2 more military factories. Alright, so that'll keep them busy for a little while. And let's go and get our new research slot doing something. And we might not be able to get the planes because of get the research, company bonus for the planes. Because I just don't know that we'll be able to do this anytime soon. Because we're just so low on political power. That would be the first thing I would get too. So it'd apply to the fighters. We can try and research it, and then maybe we'll get the 150 political power in time before the 164 days is up and get it applied. I don't think so, guys. I would really like to have it done though. But yeah, with these events, until we're married, I don't think we're gonna have any political power. I mean, we can wait just a little bit longer, I suppose. Not close enough to 1937 just yet, though we do have research bonuses for those, so we can knock them out pretty quick. So many other things to get, though. That's probably not what we'll do, though. We could go and get some of these nice passive bonuses for our fleet, or we can go and go after that airplane catapults to have them done. And we also need anti-tanks, so we could start researching that. Let's do that first, guys. We know we'll need anti-tanks in this campaign. And dominions break with the crown, which we are well aware of. And that's obviously basically much of our empire being dismantled. Still have some territories here in the Americas. Obviously, we got a lot of our land here in Africa still. Territories over here. And then, of course, we still have the British Malaya. So that's great because those are all those beautiful resources there. Honestly, might prefer to annex them to get full control of all those. We already know that the upper class is opposing us. Yeah, we're just never going to have political power. All right, and the German Civil War is done. All right, so they knocked that out. And now they can start preparing to bring the Kaiser back. We're almost through the year here. We have an event about Bulgarian rearmament negotiations. So we can say they're just offering us empty promises. And they'll not be able to start the rearmament for now. We can say we shall demand an official treaty to preserve peace, and then we'll allow them to rearm. And they'll have to do non-aggression pacts with either Greece, Yugoslavia, Romania, or Turkey. Or we can say we must put an end to the restrictions. And I guess we'll just put an end to it. Yeah, I don't know why we'd stop them. I got nothing against them rearming. I know this is from World War I, but we're a different Britain. Rearm, Bulgaria. Have fun. I'm sure there won't be any consequences in the Balkans for that. We did get excavation. Excellent. And I feel like we're close enough in 1937 to get some 1937 industrial tax. However, we already have 2 research slots here. And I'd also prefer to use our research bonuses, which we only have 2, I think. But I prefer to use it for the concentrated industry. I guess you could do the construction. Yeah, we can do the construction. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that we have to get right this moment. Obviously, we need more support companies. We can't even add them, though, because we have no army experience. It's just not going to be a priority for a time, guys. Yeah, we'll go and get the construction. Knock that out so we can build quicker. It's always helpful. So yeah, we got about 15 more days here. Yeah, just knocking out those initial civil wars, those focuses, kind of getting into the campaign, getting it started at least. Hey, the newspapers actually supporting our marriage. Starting to see our way now. I imagine online support's pretty high, yeah. 36% right now. Not bad. It ticked down to 35 for a second. And here we go. We got the royal marriage. I'm really glad we were able to do this before the end of the episode. The royal marriage of Edward VIII. At long last, the joyous date for the royal marriage has arrived. Crowds have gathered in their thousands all along the route traveled by the couple from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. A domestic resistance to the marriage has increasingly showed its impotence through symbolic resignations and other vain protests, and now seems all but silence. The last such act was the retirement of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Cosmo Lang, and his subsequent replacement with an individual more amenable to the king's wishes. In the face of the political turmoil this crisis has caused, the celebrations now ongoing are deeply necessary in returning a semblance of normalcy to public affairs, and as a starting point from which to resolve the present political issues. But will it mend the divides in our nation? That's the question. So this will get us some of our stability back and a little bit of political power, but we're still in the negative. But we're done with the marriage. And so hopefully we won't have as many stability issues for a time. I also noticed that we lost that one modifier. I don't know what that was affecting. And with that, we are into 1937. And thus we will have to end the episode here. Now, I never did check to see if those cruisers were done, which they are, so they've been training unnecessarily, but I guess they get enough Navy experience. But yeah, we don't want to spend the fuel on those. I imagine these planes are close to being done, if not already done. Yep, they're already done. Excellent. So we've gotten those trained up. And so I don't think we're... And we do have the 100 close air support, so I suppose we could train those if we wanted to. But yeah, we'll just leave it as is. We didn't really get a whole lot of experience for training those planes anyways. So yeah, we're going to end the episode here. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. All those interactions, the comments, the likes, they do help our channel, so definitely appreciate it. If you're looking for anything to watch while you wait for the next episode, then check out the front page of our channel. We have 3,000 something videos, all sorted by genre, including a whole section just for the Hearts of Iron 4 content. So you should be able to find something to watch. And if you're looking for any links, check out the description of any of our videos. You'll find links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store if you'd like to help support the channel. You'll also find a link to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, you'll find links to all of our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, if you'd like to follow us on there. So I do hope to see you guys on the next episode on Saturday, and thanks for watching.